Hey everyone, so in today's video, I am back with another Buy This Not That video. I will leave my playlist link down below for you guys, but if you aren't familiar with this series on my channel, it is essentially a very large comparison video, usually with different themes. In today's video, we are talking about all new releases. You guys really liked when I did this before, so I am back to do it again. I've loved comparing products since the start of my channel because I was often, Googling, asking questions about products and figuring out which one would work better for me. So I really enjoyed kind of answering those questions that I couldn't find the answers to. So that's why I always feel super passionate about these videos. But in today's video, I have, I believe, 6 different duos, right? I have 6 duos of products to compare for you guys, including demos and swatches. We have a lot to get through, so I'm just gonna jump right in. First comparison for you all will be this. I was thinking about doing a separate video, but I just said, you know what, I'm just gonna include this comparison for you guys because this is initially the comparison that I wanted to see personally. I know a lot of people have been comparing this to the new NARS foundation. So this is the new Charlotte's Beautiful Skin Foundation from Charlotte Tilbury, and I wanted to compare it to the It Cosmetics CC Cream because this has been a holy grail kind of staple item for me for a long time. Let's first start off with this new product from Charlotte Tilbury. So I have 2 different shades. I have the shade 3 and the shade 2, and what do you know, I think I'm the shade 1. But the shade 2 I think is a decent shade match. It is just a little bit too dark for me. And something that I've noticed with Charlotte Tilbury's shades in general is they lean a little bit yellow. I can get away with it because my neck is more yellow, but just something to keep in mind. It comes in 30 different shades, which is awesome. Definitely more shades than the It Cosmetics. And really this foundation is for blurring. It is a medium coverage, and it's going to in general just look really soft on the skin, give you a natural glow while also giving you a quote 16-hour wear, which is quite a long time. Packaging is great. I love packaging like this. The tube with the pump at the end, I find it's great for travel. So this is more of a liquidy, thin foundation. It's not super liquidy, but it definitely has a lot less creaminess than I would have expected from this foundation. It doesn't necessarily feel like that kind of thick, creamy, like CC cream kind of texture. I notice immediately that kind of blurring effect that Charlotte Tilbury talks about in the description of this product really perfects the skin quite quickly. My favorite part of this product is how thin it looks on the skin. I noticed that every single time I wore this, I wore these on each side of my face. What I noticed is that this just has a very lightweight look on the skin, which I really liked. I liked that it just felt weightless on the skin. It gave me that really pretty blur. When I'm dealing with a product that sits really closely on the skin, I'm immediately giving it brownie points because I really like when my foundations mesh well. It also doesn't like to really slip around on the skin. You can certainly build up this product and build layers of product. And again, it's just not going to feel super heavy. As for the wear, I did wear it the first time and I was very shocked by how poorly it wore, but every single time after that, this wore really well. So it could have just been like my skincare, sunscreen, primer, etc. that day. I personally have found that this is quite long wearing, but let's jump into the It Cosmetics CC cream so that you guys might be able to decide which would work better for you. So the It Cosmetics CC cream, I am the shade Fair. I also have the shade Fair Light. And when I mixed these two, I got about to the shade 2 of the Charlotte Tilbury. The It Cosmetics comes in 12 different shades. The shade range is not as good as the Charlotte Tilbury. Another note is that the It Cosmetics does have SPF in it. I know some of you prefer mineral sunscreen, and this is a completely mineral sunscreen, but just something to keep in mind that if you prefer no sunscreen, the Charlotte Tilbury does not have it. The It Cosmetics does. Now, the reason that I have loved the It Cosmetics for so long is it's just the general creaminess of it on the skin. It looks just generally very beautifying, and it's for a couple of reasons that I have been able to nail down over the years. One, the creamy texture of it really does a good job of hydrating and moisturizing the skin. So if you do deal with dryness, if you deal with dullness, this has a really pretty luminosity and it really packs that moisture into the skin quite quickly. If I'm having a really bad skin day as far as like flaking and overall dryness of my skin, this is often a product that I will reach for because I feel like it is actually kind of nourishing the skin. It doesn't want to kind of cling on to those areas. Now, granted, you know, I would rather just not wear makeup at all, but if I feel like I need a little bit of something, this is usually the product that I will reach for. Also, the second is that this gives quite a lot of coverage right off the bat. I know that both of these say that they're medium coverage. I do think that the It Cosmetics has a touch more coverage than the Charlotte Tilbury does. So the fact that you're just able to get a really radiant, refreshed, creamy look on the skin with quite a lot of coverage very easily, applies very easily, all of these things I feel like make for a really user-friendly product, especially if you are someone with dry skin or more mature skin. In general, I think that that is why a lot of folks have enjoyed this one for a long time. If you don't have dry skin, if you don't lean dry and you prefer something a little bit thinner on the skin, I feel like you will probably prefer the Charlotte Tilbury. Something that I personally noticed is that when I had tiny little dry areas on my skin, I noticed this cling to them more, but overall, I didn't really feel like I was missing moisture necessarily when I was using this foundation, and it definitely looks like less product on the skin because this is more of a creamy texture. It doesn't look heavy on the skin, at least not on my skin. But you know, I think there is something to be said about a very thin foundation like this. For me, this one is definitely going to depend on your skin type, also your shade. The Charlotte Tilbury shade range is much better. I can say right off the bat for the summertime, I would probably be reaching for this one if I wanted a more long wear foundation. But maybe this time of year, I might prefer the It Cosmetics. I do think that both are really nice. And I am looking forward to getting my right shade in the Charlotte Tilbury. Next up, we have the new Rose Inc Skin Enhanced Luminous Tinted Serum, and we will be comparing it to the Le Beige Water Fresh Tint from Chanel. Earlier last year, I had tried out the Le Beige Water Fresh Tint from Chanel. I ended up mentioning it in my favorite no makeup products. It comes in 8 different shades. I have the shade Light. I think that what makes this product so unique is the texture and the way it goes onto the skin to truly feel like a skincare item. So it has more of a serum gel texture. Like if you have a hydrating serum at home, this is really going to feel like just an additional skincare step because of the texture. You know, they call it a water fresh tint for a reason. It definitely has that water hydration kind of effect. It has this very interesting formula where it has that more clear translucent serum and then all of these little beads of pigment, and when you go and mix them in, it turns into its own shade. So once those pigments melt down, you're left with a very, very light veil of coverage. Now, I always really felt like this product was perfect for those of you that really did not like the look of product on the skin. You really just wanted that barely there kind of makeup product to even out the skin very softly and not add a lot of extra emollients. With the Chanel, you also get this tiny brush to apply the product, which normally I'm like, okay, you know, what's the deal with these additional brushes? Like, are they bad quality? I'm just gonna throw it out there that this brush expertly applies this product. So if you have bought this in the past and you are not using the brush, I highly recommend it. It is super soft. It applies it, again, so perfectly. I feel like with both of these, either using your fingers or a brush is the way to go. So again, if you like that no makeup, can barely even perceive the makeup on the skin kind of look, I do feel like the Chanel is a beautiful product. Now, something that you guys know is that I don't throw around the word dupe lightly on my channel. So personally, when I'm looking for products, I can find it frustrating when I'm expecting something to be a dupe when it's not. Honestly, you guys, I just feel like these products are too close to not be referred to as dupes. So the Rose Inc has 14 different shades, which is awesome. Again, it is also a little bit less expensive. It's $49 versus the $65 that is the Chanel. It has that same serum texture with the beads of pigment. And again, it melts down into the skin. It looks so lightweight. It feels very lightweight. It is not perceivable as makeup on the skin. And so again, these are pretty much the same item, but I will say, kind of like a word to the wise, when my skin is particularly dry, I do feel like I'm reaching for something a little bit more moisturizing, not necessarily hydrating. So these are super hydrating, but they're not really going to offer my skin a lot of the emollients that I feel like it needs during the winter time. I feel like these foundations are really meant to be that like summertime, spread it on the face, give you that veil of coverage, that no makeup look. Like that is really where this product shines for me. My skin in general has been a little bit more dry recently, so I'm trying to make sure and be cognizant that, you know, if your skin also has been a little bit more on the dry side, that hopefully these little notes can help you guys. Now, speaking of dry skin, something that I stay away from most of the time, you know, actually like even in the summer, is powder. But two brands that I really love came out with powders. So we have the Airset from Saie, as well as the Optimist setting powder from Rare Beauty. Now, let's start off with this one from Saie. Something I think is really interesting about the Saie product is that they say that it has an aerated cream technology to it that is weightless and oil absorbing, and it also has squalane in it. Reading that description, already I'm just interested in seeing how this is actually going to perform. Again, I personally find that most powders make my makeup look worse in general. They just add this layer of heaviness that I don't like in my makeup routine. But the Saie has a very interesting texture that I wasn't necessarily expecting. So it feels insanely thin and lightweight. I would say the texture is so soft without feeling like a silicone heavy translucent setting powder. By the way, I have the lightest out of 3 shades. But back to this texture, it just feels insanely soft. You can tell how finely milled it is, but you'll also notice that it has these tiny little specks of mica to it. I don't know about you, but I'm like, how's this going to translate on the skin? Because the last thing I want to do is take a powder with a bunch of sparkle on it and put it all over my face. Especially because if you want like a nice blur to your skin, sometimes like sparkly, glittery products can really exaggerate pores. Anyway, all of that is to say is I was like blown away by just how unexpectedly beautiful this powder is. They say that it's a powder for people that don't like powder. That is 100% I feel the case. I can say honestly that this is absolutely one of the best powders that I have ever used. Again, it has that beautiful texture, and when it goes onto the skin, it again takes down shine, but it doesn't leave my skin looking flat. So that is like, for me, that's a home run powder product. I only want to, again, take down those areas of shine, and this still gives me that lit from within glow that I'm already going for in my makeup routine. It'll, again, just take it down a notch in a way that still looks so natural. By the way, I do not even notice any of the mica in here once it's on my skin, but I notice that blur, I notice the setting power of it. And something I love about this is that if you don't like for like your cream products to feel tacky, or you really like for a weightless kind of texture to your makeup, this makes your skin feel so soft. It takes down any tackiness that was present in your makeup before. So it just has this gorgeous silky finish, both in the way it looks and the way it feels on the skin. And that is what I think kind of sets this powder apart. I am a huge fan of this. It is expensive, especially price per ounce, because you don't get a lot of product. But I would be lying if I sat here and said that this wasn't absolutely beautiful. Now, getting into the Rare Beauty, they don't say that it's a translucent setting powder. They say that it gives a very tiny light bit of coverage. This really doesn't add a lot of coverage back onto the skin. They do have a great shade range as well. Oh, and I absolutely love the packaging. The fact that you do have this stopper in here. Now, as for the powder, I notice immediately just by the texture that this is incredibly smooth. Again, very finely milled, but it is thicker. It's a thicker creamy texture. It doesn't feel thick in a bad way whatsoever. It's still uber soft and finely milled, but again, it's just not as lightweight as the Saie. Going on to the skin though, it performs very, very similarly. It gives you that soft blur. It doesn't look heavy on the skin. It doesn't look too mattifying. In general, I think that the way it looks on the skin is really beautiful. Some of the main differences that I noticed with these two powders is that in kind of the areas of my pores right in here, I noticed that sometimes the Rare Beauty has that kind of effect where you can see the powder sitting on the pores a little bit. It's something that is so subtle, but I do notice it. If you guys know what I mean, you know what I mean. Overall, it looks very blurring. It doesn't look drying whatsoever. It's not going to exaggerate texture. But the other main difference that I also have noticed is that with the Rare Beauty setting powder, I still feel a creaminess to my foundation when I am using this, whereas this side of my face feels like I'm barely wearing any makeup now. And I personally really like that feeling, but I don't mind a bit of creaminess and emollients on my skin either. But I do feel like a lot of you will appreciate how weightless this makes the skin feel. If you use powder every single day and you're going to be going through it, it's probably worth checking out the Rare Beauty first because it is so much more affordable comparatively to the Saie. But if you are someone that usually just really does not have a good time with powder, you've tried a lot of powders out there, it really might be worth checking this one out. Again, this is definitely one of the best that I have used. Like, I've been incorporating this into my routine and like looking forward to it, and that to me, I'm like, I don't even know how that's possible. It's a very exceptional product. And by the way, if you guys are familiar with the Cloud Set from Kosas, I prefer this product to the Kosas. So just wanted to throw that out there. Hopefully that comparison is helpful so you guys can decide which is going to work better for you. But personally for me, I prefer the Saie. Speaking of Kosas, they recently relaunched their 10-second eyeshadows in a new formula. I have all of the shades. They sent me all of them. And I wanted to do a comparison to another new launch from Sephora, which is the Charged Up Longwear Liquid Eyeshadow. This shade is the shade All Day. I have another one too, but I cannot for the life of me find it. Let's start off with the Kosas shadows. I will leave swatches of all of the shades, of course. These shades aren't exactly the same as their original 10-second eyeshadows. They do have a few that they have transferred over. Like, I believe Blaze is supposed to be similar to their shade Globe, which was a fan favorite. So Kosas says that you can apply these just with the applicator the same way that you would with the 10-second eyeshadows. You wait a couple of seconds and then you can go and blend out the product. Now, something that is immediately different about the reformulation is the texture of this item. So the original 10-second eyeshadows, as you guys probably know, were super liquidy. So if you like did this, product would literally come right out. But applied onto the eyes, I did like it because it was so thin and it had this buildable watercolor kind of texture that I thought was really unique. Again, I've never used another formula quite like that one. And I think if you're a fan of a really thin liquid texture, then you would probably really enjoy that formula as well. And this texture to me seems more in line with a traditional liquid eyeshadow. In fact, I would say this is probably closer to a liquid to powder eyeshadow. Now, they say to, again, wait a couple of seconds before you go and blend it in. And I think that's to just kind of hold the pigment and give this product a little bit more grip. I'm kind of confused by that because personally, I find that I need more time to blend with this product than it necessarily gives me. I'm finding that these look a little bit lackluster. They don't blend the way that I want them to. Shades I think are nice. There's a nice variety of neutrals, but once they're on the eyes, they just kind of look a little bit flat, or I'm expecting a little bit more emollients, a little bit more gleam. And that's something that the original 10-second eyeshadows, it's not that they looked more emollient than these, but it did feel like they were more flattering on the eyes. I will say that these do last longer than the original formula does. These really just have not been impressing me. Again, I want something with more time to blend. I want more reflection. Again, I just want more, and I'm realizing and noticing that I'm just not wanting to reach for these for that reason. Now, as for the new Longwear Liquid Shadow, the Charged Up Shadow from Sephora, the texture of this product is actually quite similar to this new reformulation from Kosas. I think the main difference though is that the Sephora just gives you a little bit more time to play. By the way, these do come in 11 different shades. They come in glitters and metallics, whereas the Kosas shadows are all more of like this kind of satin look. They're not super glittery, but presumably can kind of integrate into your everyday makeup routine really easily. Charged Up shadows have a little bit more variety. And with this shade All Day, I've noticed that the glitters really give you a very pretty effect on the eyes. It's more of a kind of scattered glitter look. It's not really a wet looking glitter, but it is really nice, and it's again more of that kind of twinkle effect on the eyes. But I think that this shade is really pretty. Now, something that I have noticed with both of these products is that if my eyes are feeling particularly dry, especially I was using this product while I was traveling, I noticed that this didn't want to kind of stick to the eyes because the skin on my lids was dry, and it just wasn't quite as flattering as I thought it could be. The blend was still really nice, but in general, I'm just gonna go out and say, like, both of these releases, I definitely prefer the Sephora. Not a huge fan of the one from Kosas, but I have to just throw it out there that maybe we just need to go back to an old favorite, like the Sydney Grace liquid eyeshadows. They come in a bunch of different shades. If you're looking at the Charged Up eyeshadows, they have like this pink to gold shade. You could just get the shade Pure 39 from Sydney Grace. I mean, I think that the Sydney Grace eyeshadows, as far as liquid eyeshadows, are definitely superior to these two formulas. Are so blendable. A little bit goes a long way. You get a lot of product for like $8, a ton of different shades to choose from, and they also come off the eyes really easily, but they're still long wearing. It has this really cool dichotomy to it. It's like, how is this so long wearing on my eyes, but I'm not sitting there and rubbing my eyes at the end of the night to get it off? So, you know, buy this, not that. Honestly, I'm just gonna say you could just, you know, better safe than sorry and just look into the ones from Sydney Grace instead. And lastly, let's talk about this new item from Danessa Myricks, the Dewy Cheek and Lip Palette. So I have the Do It Flirty palette, which has all of these exceptional juicy shades. I was incredibly excited for this launch, and also they have another version of this palette with some more deeper neutrals, and that palette looks, again, the colors look really exceptional. So obviously in this palette you get 4 different shades, and as for the texture of this product, depending on what shade you choose for application, the texture actually is quite different. So these two shades, these kind of pinky shades over here, these are a little bit thinner and a bit more translucent. And I actually prefer that formula of these two to the other ones I'm about to talk about. They look very juicy. Again, they don't have a ton of base pigment to them, so I think that helps with that kind of juicy effect when you apply them onto the cheeks. These two are a bit thicker, and these actually feel way closer to like a lipstick palette kind of formula for me. Like, I don't know if you can even see on this shade down here, it is incredibly creamy. These have way more emollients and thickness to them than these two shades over here. As for application, in general, they have a bit of tack to them, and they do have a little bit of stickiness when they go onto the cheeks, but I never find that they necessarily mess with my makeup when they are applying on, but it is something that I notice with the texture. But unfortunately, the problem comes in when I wear this product, because when I wear them, because of the tack, I think, of the product, it comes off so easily, and I'm left with a really choppy look on my cheeks. They don't want to last, they don't want to fade evenly. So I found that every time I wore this, I really didn't like the way my blush was looking. As a lip palette, I think that it is workable, but I have to be honest, I don't know how often I'm reaching for a lip palette. I really like the convenience of a bullet lipstick. If you want to be able to play and mix your own lip colors with this, I do think that it is worth looking into. But Milani has come out with a new cream cheek palette, the Cheek Kiss Sun-Kissed Glow palette. I've already talked about this on my channel, but this product is excellent if you are a lover of cream blush. So I have this deepest shade on my cheeks today. I love that you can build up the pigment, you can sheer it out. These shades and the texture of the product is much thinner and a little bit more translucent than the Danessa Myricks. I find that you can really build and get a very even, pretty look on the cheeks. They just melt into the skin a little bit better. They wear really beautifully and evenly as well. Now, this formula isn't going to be like a, 10-hour wear blush kind of look, but as an everyday blush formula, one that really sinks into the skin but looks really creamy and healthy on the skin, this is the one that I would recommend. And by the way, I have all of the Cheek Kiss cream blushes from this line, and these are 3 completely new colors. I was really hoping to love this just because I love Danessa Myricks so much, but I think that the Milani one is the one that I'm going to be reaching for. All right, everyone, so that was another episode of Buy This Not That. I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. If you enjoyed all of the demos, the swatches, if you thought it was helpful, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Again, I will leave a link down below if you guys are really interested in these kinds of videos. As always, thank you for being here. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next one.